Rain fell in thin silver lines across the crowded alien city of Thraon Prime, a world far from any human colony, a world where humans were whispers and myths. At the corner of a cracked marketplace, a little alien girl stood under a flickering workers' wanted sign, her small hands clutching a folded paper and a tiny worn satchel. Her clothes were soaked, her face pale blue from the cold, and her big dark eyes searched every passerby with silent hope. Her name was Lyra, only 12 cycles old from a poor quarter where sickness and hunger lived side by side. Her mother, once a healer, now lay weak and fevered, coughing every night. Medicine cost more than their home was worth. So Lyra did what no child should do. She went looking for work. She waited from morning till dusk. Dozens passed her by, merchants, guards, factory drones, but none stopped. Some stared at her strange eyes, others muttered, "Dirty blood." Her kind was considered mixed, half from the low-born tribes of the north. No one hired a half-blood, but Lyra did not move. She whispered softly to herself, "For mother. Just one job." Then the sound of heavy boots stopped near her. A shadow fell over the sign. Lyra looked up and froze. It was not an alien face, it was human. The man looked different from everyone else, tall, broad-shouldered, with tired but kind eyes. His jacket was patched, his boots covered in dust. A faint scar ran down his cheek. The locals called him the Outlander. He glanced at the sign, then at the trembling girl. "You looking for work?" he asked in a calm, rough voice. Lyra hesitated. "Yes, sir. I can clean, carry anything. My mother is sick, please." The man frowned slightly. No one had begged him before. He had seen beggars, thieves, even soldiers, but this child looked broken yet brave. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lyra, sir. And your age?" 12, he sighed. "You're too young for labor. Where's your father?" Lyra lowered her head. "Gone when I was small." Something in the way she said it, quiet, without tears, hit him harder than expected. The man looked around. The aliens nearby were staring, whispering, some sneering at him for talking to a half-blood girl. He crouched down. "You said your mother's sick? What does she have?" "She can't breathe right. Doctor said her lungs are dark. I tried to buy medicine, but..." Her voice cracked. "They said no credits, no cure." The man's jaw tightened. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small chip of food credits. "Here, get her something warm to eat tonight." Lyra's eyes widened. She shook her head. "No, sir. I can't take it free. I must work for it. Please give me a job." The man looked at her again, silent. Then something like a memory flickered behind his eyes. He remembered another little girl years ago on another planet, holding his hand before the war took everything from him. He stood up. "All right, Lyra, you can help me clean my workshop. I fix machines. Pay small but honest." Her face lit up with disbelief. "Truly?" He nodded once. "But you'll listen to me, do as I say, and stay out of trouble." "Yes, sir, I will." As they walked together through the rain, people stared, whispering again, some with disgust, others with curiosity. A human helping a half-blood child was unheard of. When they reached his workshop, Lyra stopped in awe. Broken machines, drones, and metallic limbs lay scattered everywhere. Sparks flickered from tools, and the air smelled like oil and steel. "This is where you work?" she asked softly. "Yeah, it's messy, but it's home," he replied, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You'll start tomorrow. Tonight, take that food chip and feed your mother. Understand?" She nodded, clutching the chip like treasure. But as she turned to leave, he noticed something strange. Around her wrist, under the torn sleeve, a faint glow pulsed from a hidden bracelet. It shimmered faintly like alien tech. He frowned. "Hey, what's that on your wrist?" Lyra froze. Her smile vanished. "It's..." "Nothing, sir, just old thing from my father." He didn't press further. But when she disappeared into the misty street, the man felt uneasy. That glow, it wasn't normal. It looked like something ancient, something forbidden, and deep inside he felt it. This meeting wasn't chance. Something was coming. Something that would change both their lives forever. The next morning, the first light of Thraon's pale sun spilled through the city fog. Lyra hurried through the narrow streets, clutching her satchel tight. She had fed her mother warm soup last night, and for the first time in weeks the old woman smiled before falling asleep. That small smile gave Lyra strength as she approached the rusty gate of the human's workshop. Inside, the sound of metal echoed like thunder. Sparks danced across the floor. The man, known by the locals as Cade, was already at work, repairing the burnt-out core of a delivery drone. He looked up when the little girl stepped in. "You're early," he said. "I didn't want to be late, sir," she replied, wiping rain off her sleeves. "Good. Punctuality matters." Cade handed her a pair of gloves almost too big for her hands. "You can start by sorting those scrap piles. Metal here, circuits there, and don't touch the red container." "Why not?" "Because it explodes." Her eyes widened and Cade gave a short laugh for the first time in days. "Don't worry, just stay careful." Hours passed. The little alien girl worked quietly, humming to herself while the human fixed machines that most others would have thrown away. Despite her small size, she was quick and precise. When she spotted a loose cable or a broken seal, she pointed it out instantly. Cade began to notice something. She wasn't just helpful. She was observant. "You've done this before?" he asked. "No, sir. But my mother used to heal machines too before she got sick. She said machines breathe like people, they just need care." He smiled faintly. "Smart woman." At midday, Cade poured 2 cups of hot steamed tea and pushed one toward her. She hesitated, unsure if she should accept. "Drink," he said. "You earned it." She took it, her hands trembling slightly from the heat. "Thank you, sir." "Call me Cade, I'm no noble." "Yes, Mr. Cade." He raised an eyebrow but let it go. For a moment the workshop was silent except for the hum of machines. Lyra watched the human carefully. The way he worked, focused, calm, patient. Humans were rare in the city. Most aliens spoke of them like ghosts from old wars. Too dangerous or too kind depending on who told the story. But this man didn't look dangerous. He looked lonely. Then she noticed something odd, his arm. When he reached across the table, the sleeve lifted slightly, revealing cold metal beneath the skin. "A mechanical limb, your part machine?" she asked softly. Cade froze. "Used to be a soldier," he said quietly. "Lost my arm in the conflict with the Orthan fleets. Replaced it after." Lyra's eyes widened. "Did it hurt?" He smirked. "Only when it rains." They shared a small laugh. It was strange, how a human soldier and a half-blood alien girl could sit together and laugh in a city that hated them both. But outside, someone else had noticed them too. A tall alien officer in a gray uniform stood across the street, watching the workshop through narrow eyes. He tapped his communicator, found the human, and the child. "Keep surveillance." The girl's wrist device matches the signal. Inside, Lyra suddenly dropped a wrench. The glowing bracelet on her wrist flickered again, this time brighter. She quickly pulled down her sleeve, but Cade saw it. "That thing again," he muttered. "You said it's from your father?" She nodded quickly.
"He gave it to me when I was small."
Said never to remove it. "Can I see it?" She shook her head. "It reacts when someone tries. Last time a doctor touched it, it burned his fingers." Cade frowned. "That's not normal tech. Looks ancient. Maybe pre-war era?" "I don't know, sir. I just know it keeps glowing more since my mother got sick." Something about that made Cade uneasy. He had seen war relics before, machines that still pulsed with hidden power centuries later. If this bracelet was one of those, then the girl was in danger. He stood up. "Listen, Lyra, from now on, if anyone asks about that bracelet or about me, you say nothing. Understand?" "Yes, sir," she said, eyes wide. "But why?" "Because I think someone's already looking for you." That night, long after Lyra went home, Cade stayed awake at his desk staring at the glowing memory chip from his soldier days. He had sworn never to get involved again, never to protect anyone after what happened to his crew. But now, a sick mother, a brave child, and a strange device had walked into his life, and part of him knew there was no going back. Outside, thunder rolled across the alien sky and unseen eyes watched the workshop from the shadows. The hunt had already begun. Night on Thraon Prime was never silent. Neon lights flickered through the fog. Engines rumbled above the rooftops and the air smelled of metal and rain. But inside Cade's workshop, the noise faded to a low hum. The human sat beside the dim light of a workbench, lost in thought. He replayed every detail of the day. The little alien girl, her shy smile, her glowing bracelet. Something about that device gnawed at him. He had seen technology like that once during the old human wars. Back then, those kinds of devices were forbidden. They were keys, not jewelry. Keys to something powerful. The door creaked. Lyra entered quietly, carrying a small container of soup. "Mother said thank you for helping us," she said. She wanted me to bring this for you. Cade blinked, surprised. You didn't have to. I wanted to, she smiled faintly. You gave us food. It's only fair. He took the container, nodding. How's she doing? Still weak. But she smiled. That's more than before. For a moment, silence hung between them. Outside, lightning flashed across the city skyline. Sit down, Cade said. There's something I need to show you. He opened a metal box on the table. Inside were small hologram chips, old war records, faded photographs, and one rusted tag with his name etched in it. Lyra looked at the tag curiously. You were in the Great Conflict? She asked softly. He nodded. A long time ago. I saw worlds burn, fleets vanish, and people disappear over things they didn't even understand. Disappear? He sighed. There was a weapon once. Not a bomb, not a gun, something ancient, older than humans or aliens. We called it the Vault of Solara. No one could open it, but it was said to hold the secret of infinite healing energy. Everyone wanted it. Everyone killed for it, Lyra's eyes widened. Healing energy? He nodded. But it vanished. No one ever found it. Her fingers instinctively brushed the bracelet under her sleeve. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Cade's eyes narrowed. That thing, your bracelet. It reacts to what I'm saying, doesn't it? Lyra froze, her pulse quickening. I don't know why. It always glows when someone talks about light or healing. Cade leaned forward. Lyra, listen carefully. That's not a toy. That's ancient tech. If it's reacting, it means it's connected to something alive or something powerful. The girl looked scared now. But I didn't do anything wrong. I know, he said quickly, his tone softening. You didn't, but others won't care. They'll take it from you, maybe take you too. She lowered her eyes. Will you protect me? Cade hesitated. His old instinct screamed to say no, to stay out of this. But when he saw her trembling, his chest tightened. Yes, he said finally. As long as I can. At that moment, a loud bang echoed outside. The workshop's lights flickered. Cade grabbed his plasma tool and stepped to the door. Stay behind me. Through the thick fog, shadows moved, two alien soldiers in gray armor. Their helmets glowed faintly, scanning the area. One raised a scanner, pointing at Cade's workshop. Confirmed signal. The key is inside. Cade cursed under his breath. They tracked it. The door burst open with a blast of static. Cade fired first, hitting the soldier's weapon hand. The second rushed forward, but Cade swung a steel rod, knocking him to the ground. Sparks and smoke filled the workshop. Lyra, run, he shouted, but she didn't. She crouched, clutching her glowing wrist. The bracelet flared brighter than ever, shining like a small sun. The fallen soldiers froze, their armor flickering as strange symbols appeared across it. Then, silence. The soldiers collapsed unconscious. Cade stared, stunned. What did you just do? I don't know, Lyra whispered. It happened on its own. It scared me. The bracelet's glow dimmed, returning to normal. Cade knelt beside the fallen soldier, scanning his armor. The marks were unlike anything modern, ancient sigils identical to the lost human war archives. His blood ran cold. This isn't just a bracelet, he murmured. It's the real key. The Vault of Solara exists, and you're connected to it. Lyra stepped back, shaking her head. No, I don't want it. I just want my mother. Cade looked at her with pity. I know, kid, but now, you don't have a choice. He turned toward the door. Pack your things. We're leaving tonight. Leaving? Where? Somewhere they can't track you. And if I'm right, there'll be more soldiers coming. Many more. Lyra looked down at her glowing wrist, tears welling in her eyes. She never wanted power. She only wanted to save her mother. But fate had chosen her for something far bigger than survival. And as thunder roared across the city again, Cade knew their journey had only just begun. Rain lashed against the city's metal roofs as Cade packed supplies into his old hover truck. Every second mattered. The soldiers from earlier would not stay down for long, and once they reported back, the city's patrols would swarm this sector. Inside the workshop, Lyra stood trembling beside the doorway, clutching a small blanket and her satchel. Sir, will they hurt my mother? She asked in a soft, broken voice. Cade tightened the last strap on the cargo. Not if we move fast. We'll pick her up first, then disappear before dawn. He tossed her a faded cloak. Put that on. Keeps the scanners from reading your heat signature. She obeyed silently, pulling the hood over her blue-tinted face. Her small hand shook as she hid the glowing bracelet beneath the fabric. The faint pulse of light still beat through the cloth like a heartbeat that refused to die. Cade locked the door behind them. The street was empty except for the distant buzz of patrol drones. They moved quickly through the narrow back alleys, shadows against a sea of neon. At the corner of an old drainage bridge, Lyra pointed ahead. "Our home is 2 turns past that light post." Cade nodded and drew his weapon. "Stay behind me." When they reached the small shack, it was quiet. Too quiet. The front door hung open. Cade's instincts screamed danger. He motioned for Lyra to stay back, then stepped inside. The interior was in ruins. The few belongings were thrown to the ground. The bed overturned, medicine bottles smashed. And on the wall, an insignia burned into the metal, the mark of the Vorn Syndicate. Cade cursed under his breath. They found her first. Lyra stumbled in after him, her eyes wide with horror. "Mother?" she cried. Her voice echoed through the empty house. No answer came. On the floor lay a small pendant, her mother's. Lyra fell to her knees, clutching it to her chest. She was here. She was here. Cade knelt beside her. They didn't kill her. The Vorn Syndicate doesn't leave marks like this when they kill. They took her alive for a reason. Why would they take her? He glanced at the bracelet. Because they think she knows what that thing is. Maybe she once worked on it. Tears streamed down Lyra's face. "Then we have to find her." Cade placed a hand on her shoulder. "We will, but not tonight. We need to survive first." Before he could finish, the roar of engines filled the street. Blue lights flared outside. Drones swarmed over the rooftops, scanning with piercing beams. "They've traced us," Cade growled. "Move!" They ran through the back exit, racing into the mist. Cade fired at the nearest drone, shattering it mid-air. Sparks showered the alley as more followed. Lyra struggled to keep up, her feet splashing through puddles, her breath coming in short bursts. Cade turned sharply into an abandoned transit tunnel. This way. Inside, the tunnel stretched deep into the undercity, dark and silent except for dripping water. They moved fast, the sound of engines fading behind them. Finally, when they reached an old cargo platform, Cade stopped to catch his breath. Lyra collapsed beside him, shaking. "Sir, what happens now?" He looked toward the tunnel's end where a single maintenance train waited, half buried in dust. "Now," he said, "we disappear." They climbed aboard. Cade powered the old engine, its hum echoing like a heartbeat in the dark. "Once this train hits the outer sectors, we'll be ghosts to them. The Syndicate doesn't patrol beyond the ridge." Lyra stared out the small window, her reflection glowing faintly from the bracelet's light. "Do you think my mother's still alive?" He paused. "Yes, and that means we still have time." For a moment, silence filled the carriage. But then the lights flickered, and a voice crackled through the train's broken comm system. "Human designation, Cade Mercer. Alien miner detected. Unauthorized possession of restricted artifact. You are surrounded. Surrender the girl." Cade's blood ran cold. "They're tracking us through the train systems." He smashed the comm panel with his metal arm. Sparks flew. "Hold on, kid." The train burst forward, wheels screeching on rusted rails. The city lights blurred into streaks of color as they sped into the wastelands. Drones gave chase, firing plasma bursts that lit up the tunnel walls. Lyra clung to Cade's arm, terrified. "They'll catch us." "Not if I can help it." He pulled a lever, forcing the train onto a maintenance line that dropped sharply into the darkness below. The drones overshot, slamming into the tunnel roof. Moments later, the train burst out of the city's lower gate into the open plains. Silent. Endless desert under a red dawn. The wind roared through the broken windows, carrying the smell of freedom and danger. Cade turned to Lyra. "We're out of the city. But the hunt won't stop. Whoever wants that bracelet, they'll come for it and for your mother." Lyra stared at him, her eyes full of fear and determination. "Then we find them first." Cade looked ahead at the endless horizon, his expression hardening. "Yeah, we find them first." Far behind them, high above Thraon Prime, a massive shadow moved through the clouds. A dark warship bearing the insignia of the Vorn Syndicate, descending toward the planet. The real chase had just begun. The train rumbled to a stop beneath a blood-red dawn. Wind whipped across the open plains, carrying dust that shimmered like ash. Lyra stepped out first, her small boots crunching over the dry earth. Around them stretched the wasteland, silent, endless, and full of forgotten ruins. Cade climbed down from the train behind her, checking the horizon. No drones, no signal. For now, we're clear. Lyra squinted toward the rising sun. Where do we go now, Mr. Cade? He slung his rifle over his back. West. There's an old human outpost in these deserts used long ago for supply runs. If your mother's alive, that's where the syndicate might be keeping her. It's isolated, hard to find. Lyra nodded, her expression determined despite the fear in her eyes. She pulled her cloak tighter against the cold wind. The glow of her bracelet was faint now, hidden beneath the folds of fabric, but every few minutes, it pulsed like it was guiding her somewhere. They began walking, their shadows stretching long over the sand. Hours passed. The sun rose higher, turning the ground into molten gold. Cade walked ahead, his steps steady. He didn't speak much, but he watched the girl closely. She was tougher than she looked. No complaints, no tears, just quiet resolve. Finally, when the heat became unbearable, they stopped under the broken hull of a crashed freighter. Cade scavenged some metal sheets to make shade and opened his pack. Here, eat. Lyra took the ration bar, nibbling quietly. After a while, she looked up at him. Mr. Cade, you said you fought in the war. Did you lose someone? He froze. His metal hand tightened slightly on the edge of the table. Yeah, he said after a long pause. A little girl. My daughter. Lyra blinked, surprised. What happened to her? She was sick. Like your mother. But I wasn't there to help her. I was off fighting someone else's war. His voice cracked slightly, though he tried to hide it. By the time I came back, it was too late. The girl looked down, clutching the bracelet. I'm sorry. Cade gave a faint smile. Don't be. Maybe helping you is my second chance. A moment of silence passed between them, the kind that said more than words. But then the bracelet flickered again, this time brighter, pulsing fast. Lyra gasped. It's reacting again. Cade leaned closer. To what? The bracelet emitted a faint hum, pointing faintly toward the west. Lyra raised her arm and the glow grew stronger in that direction. It's guiding us, she whispered. It wants us to go there. Cade frowned. That's impossible. It's just tech. No, Mr. Cade. It feels alive. Before he could reply, the ground beneath them shook. A low, rumbling growl echoed through the wreckage. Cade stood instantly, weapon ready. Stay behind me. From behind the dunes, a massive creature rose. Six-legged, armored in bone plates, eyes glowing amber. A desert stalker. It roared, shaking the sand. Lyra screamed as the beast charged. Cade fired his plasma rifle, the blast hitting its shoulder, but the creature barely slowed. It crashed into the freighter wreck, sending metal flying. Run! Cade shouted. Lyra scrambled toward the rocks, but the creature's tail smashed down, missing her by inches. Cade dove, firing again, hitting the beast's eyes. It shrieked, blinded and enraged. Then, without warning, Lyra's bracelet flared like a sun. She raised her arm instinctively, and a wave of light burst out, striking the creature. The beast froze mid-charge, its growl fading into a whimper. Its massive form began to crumble into dust before collapsing into the sand. Silence. Cade stared at the glowing air where the creature had stood. Lyra, what did you just do? Her voice trembled. I didn't mean to. It happened again. Cade approached slowly, eyes wide. That wasn't defense tech. It was energy discharge. Healing energy turned into protection. The vault's power. He looked at her like she was something miraculous and terrifying. Lyra sank to the ground, exhausted. It drained me, she whispered. Every time it does that, I feel empty inside. Cade knelt beside her. You're strong, kid. Stronger than you know. But you can't keep using it like that. It'll kill you, she nodded weakly. I don't want to use it. I just want my mother back. Cade looked toward the west, where the faint shimmer of ruins could be seen in the distance. Then that's where we go. But we're not alone anymore. He pointed to the horizon. Through the heat haze, a black ship glided low, silent, searching. The insignia of the Vorn Syndicate glimmered on its side. They found us again, Cade muttered. Lyra's heart pounded. Then we keep moving. He smiled grimly. Yeah, we keep moving. They started walking again, toward the ruins and the unknown. Above them, the desert wind howled like a warning, and the ship's shadow passed over them like a dark omen. Far ahead, buried beneath the sand, something ancient began to stir, a faint echo of energy, calling to the light in Lyra's wrist. The vault of Solara was awakening. The ruins appeared at dusk, half buried in golden sand and surrounded by silence. Towers of broken crystal rose from the earth like ancient bones, shimmering faintly in the fading light. The air was heavy, still, almost sacred. Cade and Lyra stood at the edge of the forgotten city. Neither spoke for a long moment. This place, Cade muttered, scanning the horizon. It's older than the colonies. Older than both our races. Lyra's bracelet began to glow brighter than ever before, flooding the dunes with soft blue light.
It feels
familiar, she whispered. Like I've been here before, Cade frowned. Impossible. No one's been here for centuries. But Lyra wasn't listening. She stepped forward slowly, the bracelet pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. With every step she took, the ruins seemed to respond. Old symbols carved into stone flickered to life, humming with hidden power. Cade followed carefully, rifle ready. Stay close, kid. We don't know what's down there. As they entered the shattered gate, a faint breeze brushed past them, carrying the scent of dust and something metallic. The city felt alive. The buildings were crumbling, yet they hummed as if remembering something. At the center of the plaza stood a massive circular platform covered in ancient carvings. Lyra's bracelet began to vibrate wildly. It's calling me, she said softly. Cade held out a hand. Wait, but it was too late. The moment her foot touched the platform, the ground rumbled. A beam of light shot upward, illuminating the dark sky. The entire ruin came alive with energy. Cade shielded his eyes. What did you do? I didn't do anything, she cried, frightened. It just happened. The beam expanded, forming a holographic figure above the platform. A tall alien woman with silver eyes and flowing robes. Her voice echoed through the ruins. The key has returned. After all this time, Lyra stumbled back. She's talking about me. Cade's jaw tightened. Who are you? He demanded. The hologram turned toward him, her gaze calm and ancient. I am Lyra, keeper of the Vault of Solara. Long ago, this place held the power to heal entire worlds. But greed and war destroyed it. The vault sealed itself, waiting for the bloodline of its chosen to awaken it again. Bloodline? Cade repeated. The hologram looked down at Lyra. The child carries the mark. The energy within her wrist is the final key. Her mother protected it, but the syndicate discovered her. They seek the vault to control life itself. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. So my mother knew? Yes, she once served as a healer within these halls. She bonded the key to her daughter before the syndicate came. Her sacrifice kept it from falling into darkness. Cade stepped forward. Then where is she now? The hologram flickered. Alive, for now. Held in the fortress of Vorn Prime. They extract her memories, trying to learn how to unlock the vault without the child. Lyra clenched her fists. Then we have to save her! Cade's mind raced. Vorn Prime is halfway across the planet, heavily guarded. We can't just walk in. You won't need to, Lyra's voice echoed. The vault will open soon, and when it does, it will send a signal strong enough to draw every faction here. You must reach your mother before that happens, or both will perish. The light dimmed and the hologram vanished, leaving the ruins silent again. Cade turned to Lyra. Her face was pale but determined. She's alive, she whispered. I knew it, Cade nodded slowly. Yeah, but now we know the syndicate wants the same thing we do. And they're already coming. As if to answer his words, a thunderous boom echoed across the plains. In the distance, black shapes descended from the sky. Dropships, dozens of them, kicking up clouds of sand as they approached. Cade cursed. They tracked the energy pulse. He grabbed Lyra's arm. Run! They sprinted through the ruins, dodging falling debris as plasma fire rained from above. The syndicate troops poured out of the ships, shouting orders, weapons glowing in the dusk. Lyra stumbled and the bracelet flared again, forming a barrier of light around them. The plasma bolts hit it and dissolved into sparks. Cade stared in awe. That thing just saved us again, but the glow was weaker this time. Lyra gasped, holding her wrist. It's too much. I can't hold it. He pulled her close, diving behind a crumbled wall as the shield collapsed. Don't waste your strength. Save it for later. Smoke filled the air. Over the chaos, a deep voice boomed through the soldiers' comms. Bring me the girl alive. The human can die. Cade's blood froze. That voice, he recognized it. Commander Varric, the syndicate officer who led the war against the humans years ago. He gritted his teeth. Varric? Lyra looked up at him, scared. You know him? Cade's eyes were cold as steel. Yeah. He's the reason I lost everything. The sky above roared as more dropships descended. Cade pulled Lyra toward a hidden passage in the ruins. We can't fight them here. We need to vanish again. As they slipped into the shadows, the ruins of Solara blazed with light one last time. The vault had awakened, and now every power in the galaxy would come for it. But Cade swore silently to himself. Before that happened, he would find Lyra's mother, even if it meant facing the ghost of his past. The night sky over Thrayon's wastelands burned with falling ships. Trails of fire streaked across the stars as the Vorn Syndicate's fleet descended. Beneath that chaos, Cade and Lyra raced across the shattered dunes toward the mountains, toward the place where her mother was held. The wind screamed through the canyons, carrying the echo of distant explosions. Lyra's cloak fluttered behind her, her small hands clutching the satchel tight. The bracelet on her wrist pulsed brighter now, faster as if urging her forward. "We're close," Cade said, scanning the cliffs ahead. "That fortress, Vorn Prime, it's built into the rock. Hidden tunnels run below it. We use those." Lyra nodded, her face streaked with dust and determination. "I can feel her, my mother. She's calling me." Cade looked at her, the glow reflecting in his eyes. "Then let's bring her home." The fortress loomed out of the mist like a dark scar carved into the mountainside. Towers of black stone rose above steel walls. Searchlights swept across the cliffs, drones patrolling the perimeter. Cade crouched behind a ridge, checking the charge on his weapon. "We go silent from here. No mistakes," Lyra whispered. "What if they catch us?" He glanced at her. "Then they'll have to catch a ghost." They moved like shadows, slipping through cracks in the rock, following the tunnels Elira's hologram had shown. The deeper they went, the colder it became. The walls pulsed faintly with strange blue veins, energy drawn from the same source as the vault. At last, they reached a chamber filled with containment pods. Inside one of them, pale and weak but alive, lay Lyra's mother. Tubes ran from her arms into humming machines. "Mom," Lyra whispered, tears filling her eyes. She ran forward, placing her hand on the glass. The bracelet glowed instantly, reacting to her presence. The monitors beeped wildly. Cade moved fast, smashing the control panel with his metal arm. The pod hissed open, releasing a cloud of mist. Lyra's mother fell forward into Cade's arms. She was frail, her breathing shallow. But when she saw Lyra, her lips curved into a trembling smile. "Lyra, you found me. Mom!" Lyra hugged her tightly. "I thought you were gone." The woman's eyes moved to Cade. You're human," he nodded. "Name's Cade. You're safe now, ma'am. But we need to move before—" A deep voice cut through the chamber. "Before what, soldier? Before justice catches you again?" Cade froze. The air grew heavy. From the shadows stepped Commander Varric, tall and armored in black metal. His red eyes glowed beneath his mask. "Varric," Cade growled. "I should have known you'd crawl out of the ruins." Varric smirked. "Still playing hero, I see. But this time there's no war. Only payment for what you humans stole." He turned his gaze toward Lyra. "The key. Give it to me, and I may let them live." Lyra clung to her mother. "You can't have it." Varric's smile vanished. "Then you all die." He raised his arm, firing a blast of plasma. Cade shoved the two aside, the beam grazing his shoulder. He grunted, returning fire. Sparks exploded, lighting the chamber in flashes of red and blue. "Get her out of here," Cade shouted. But Lyra's mother shook her head weakly. "No, she can't run. Not anymore. The vault is awakening. It needs her." The ground trembled violently. The blue veins along the walls blazed with light, connecting to Lyra's bracelet. Energy surged through her, lifting her off the ground as if unseen hands were pulling her upward. "Mr. Cade," she screamed. "I can't stop it." The light from her bracelet shot through the ceiling, piercing the sky above. Outside, the entire mountain began to shake as the vault of Solara finally revealed itself, an immense crystal structure rising from beneath the rock, glowing brighter than a star. Varric staggered, shielding his eyes. "It's real. It's all real." Cade struggled to his feet. "You wanted power, Varric? Here it is." He lunged forward, tackling the commander into the light. Their weapons clashed, sparks flying. The human's mechanical arm locked against Varric's blade. "You destroyed worlds for greed," Cade spat. "But this one belongs to her." Varric snarled, trying to break free, but the ground beneath them split apart. A burst of radiant energy engulfed them both. Cade used the last of his strength to throw Varric backward into the core. The commander screamed as the light consumed him, his armor melting into the crystal. The chamber fell silent. Lyra floated down gently, the glow around her fading. Her bracelet dimmed, leaving only faint warmth against her skin. Cade lay nearby, breathing heavily, his arm sparking from damage. Lyra crawled to him. "Mr. Cade, you're hurt?" He smiled faintly. "Takes more than that to stop an old soldier." He looked up at her. "You did it, kid." The vault's light, it's healing the world again. All around them, the ruins began to bloom with life. Dust turned to soil, cracked stone sprouted green moss. The war-torn land was reborn in the light's glow. Lyra's mother knelt beside her daughter, tears streaming down her face. "The vault chose you, my child. You've restored what we lost." Lyra looked at Cade. "I couldn't have done it without him." He chuckled softly. "Guess humans and aliens make a good team after all." Above them, the storm clouds parted, revealing a sky full of stars, clean, bright, and new. Cade rose slowly, watching the horizon. "What now?" Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. "We help others. Just like you helped me," he nodded. "Then let's start." As dawn rose over the reborn wasteland, the human and the little alien girl walked side by side, two souls from different worlds bound by courage, loss, and a light that healed more than just planets. The legend of the human and the girl with the bracelet spread across galaxies, a story whispered wherever hope had once died. And in the farthest stars, the vault of Solara continued to shine, forever reminding them what humanity and compassion could create together.